Previously we were looking at arrangements and I was babbling on about energy and stuff like that. But really and truly what it is all about is having a start, middle and end. Having some choruses, having some verses, and how you move in between those sections of your song. It's really key because for the end user or for the person who's going to hear your music, you want to take them on a journey. Just like your favourite film, your favourite, like a good cinema experience. You want to kind of go on a roller coaster. And so we looked at, transition pieces like using a bit of speech. We looked at, the intro and looked at how my verses and choruses were structured. And now we're going to look at vocals. So I've done some verses and hooks on this. I'm going to show you what my vocal chain looks like. What does vocal chain mean? It basically means what's on my vocal channel. So what EQ I've used, what compression I've done. We're going to talk about all those things. We're going to talk about all those things in a minute. But after that, we're going to go back to Ableton because I'm going to show you what's going on Logic right now with my vocals, where I record my vocals. After we've kind of done our thing on Logic, we're going to move over to Ableton, where I'll show you what I've done as far as the whole tune and mixing the whole tune. And then this is just on the channels mixing, not on the bus yet. That's another lesson. That's next lesson. But yeah, let's dive in. So what we've got here is my verse and my hooks. So what have I done here? It's essentially really, I've got my hooks and my verses on the same channel. I've not really organized it yet, but I've got my middle 8 here as well. And let's just focus on my vocal channel. So what I've actually got going on before anything is this little bad boy here. I've got a UAD to an X, a UAD Apollo to an X, which is an audio interface. Now listen to me and listen to me carefully, yeah. Now a 16-year-old version of me, I would have been like, rah, he's got this, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to sound good. Well, that's a lie, because first and foremost, I started off on Pro Tools. I had an M-Box back in 2011, and I made do with it. I was recording people making beats, and I switched over to another interface, and I'd learned some more. And now this is my third interface, and I've been eyeing this up for a long time because I've been doing my research and figuring out what's the industry standard, and this is the industry standard. Now, I would not stress about it. I wouldn't stress about it. What I'm doing is I'm showing you. By the time you guys are ready for like stuff like this, but here's the thing: if you want to get it now and you can afford it, and you can actually get it. But I would be very careful because if I didn't know what I knew, then I wouldn't be messing with this, because I've put stuff on here that's affecting my signal going into Logic. So what I've done is I put on an EQ and a compressor, and also a simulator, something that simulates a preamp, a Neve preamp. Mate, it's all like, I'm trying to think of me as a 16-year-old. Like, it sounds like whatever. I don't know. I just want to make hits. That was my mindset back then. But that's what's feeding into my Logic first. So there's a bit of compression, a preamp, and an EQ. First up, we have a Logic stock plugin EQ. I'm not ashamed of it. It's a great sounding EQ. I've taken out a lot of my lows because I've got quite a low sounding baritone voice. And I've taken out a few little bits here and there at 200, 500 and 1K. A little drop at 2K. And then boosted here after that around about 3K here. I've boosted up and kind of just left it there. My voice works well for this. This is me experimenting over years of recording and finding out what works best for me. Working in like really crap environments as far as acoustic goes. And that's another important thing. Just think about where you're recording. Take your time to experiment. Take your time to figure out how your mic picks up the room. If you're in a well acoustically treated room, then you don't have to worry about that, but it's also good to experiment to see where the sweet point is. So I've learned that this is my sweet spot. Second, we've got a compressor. Now this is from Slate Digital. Again, don't worry. I did loads of research and I was like, okay, cool. I want something that is similar to or mimics old analog gear. So this has been perfect for me. Let me explain compression to you guys. Compression is a bit of a weird one. It was very abstract to me for a very long time, but it clicked not long ago. Essentially, when it comes to vocals, you have parts where you're quite low and parts where you're quite loud. Your compressor is essentially keeping your quiet parts and your loud parts and squishing it, compressing it into one kind of solid, cheeseburger. One solid cheeseburger, like one solid block of audio. Your threshold is when to grab. Your ratio is, okay, I'm grabbing, but how much am I squeezing down to, and how many of them am I squeezing down to one? Your attack is how quickly am I squeezing, and your release is how quickly am I letting go of it. And the makeup is also just making your hand bigger. So if my hand is the compressor, then you can make the makeup is basically making it bigger, making the hand bigger to deal with more. But what I'm trying to get at is the compressor is just a tool to kind of get your voice coming in to sound consistent. If you've got low bits and high bits where sometimes you're punching through the mix and sometimes you're not, you want to go back to your compressor and see what you've done. So that's the compressor. Second, we've got another compressor for me. Well, it's actually a multi-faceted plugin. This one's called the CLA Vocals. I swear by it. It's like my favorite thing. And it's an EQ, compressor, reverb and delay and pitch all in one. And I use it super, super hard. I mean, I'm pushing it super hard. I don't have much low. I'm pushing my highs. And I've got a bit of a delay going on as well. Now, you might be thinking, why have you got your compression? You've got bare compression on already. The trick for me is the signal that's coming into my interface is quite low. It's not super high. Like right now it's pretty high because I'm trying to capture my voice. But more times still it's pretty low. It's not that loud. So when everything comes out at the other end, it's nice and punchy for me. That's my experimentation and me trial and erroring, sounding really Mac for years. And then I was like, oh, I understand compression. Let me do this. And also some people like to compress first and then do EQ later. For me, my logic is, okay, I've got this sound coming in. I want to sculpt it, get rid of this stuff, get rid of frequencies I don't like, and then I'm going to start compressing. Okay? So remember the massive boost. I've been boosting my highs a lot. So I'm putting on a de-esser. I want to make sure my S's aren't too crazy. But the main aim is to punch through the mix. Remember that. Second, I've got, fourth or fifth. What have I got here? Yeah, fifth. Fifth, we've got Waves Tuner, Auto Tune. Logic's got their own. I was using that for ages. But then the Waves Tuner's just got something about it that I quite like. So I use that. Quick tip for that is make sure you know what key your song is in. I've mentioned this before in starting a production on lesson 1. If you know your key, this will be so easy. If you know your scale, it's very easy. But again, you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing of bringing up a piano and playing the notes that you like, that not even the notes that you like, but playing the notes that work and then punching them in. You can use the normal tuner on Logic, which allows you to punch in and out certain keys. Just put them in. Just put in the right keys and you can put it to taste. I've set it to 0 speed and transition at 32. That works for me. Some people might argue, why are you putting auto-tune if you're singing? I'm like, listen, we're in 2020. This is the trend and I've been using it for a long time. Okay, now here's the secret sauce. 2 reverbs. I'm using 2 reverbs at the end of it all. No reverbs beforehand, or just 2 right here. And what are they doing? Well, this one's a pop vocal hall. It's preset. Put it to around about 9 o'clock. Nothing too crazy. Taking out some lows and adding some highs and mids. And the same with the Vintage Valhalla. Now, the reason why I don't use stock reverbs is I don't like the sound of them no more. I did my research and I went out to find and kind of just went onto YouTube and kind of did like the best reverbs 2017, 16, 15, not too sure when. And I kind of just trialed them out, got the demo, trialed them out. I was like, cool, I love it. The sound is sick. The Verb Suite came with the Slate Digital pack that I paid for. It's great sounding. Do your research, find what works for you. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so that's Logic done. What I've done now then, I've bounced out both these 2 channels, and what I've done is I've taken them wet, which means with effects. So if you ever hear wet vocals, dry vocals, it's not someone's throat, it's the effects. Yeah? Cool. So we've moved from Logic, we're back onto Ableton, and what we're doing now is we're going to do some light touches, just a bit of EQ here and there, compression here and there, see what needs it, see what doesn't. It's really about what do I want to hear and how do I want to hear it for me. So let's have a listen through the vocals first, see where they're sitting. Okay, let's have a listen. And I know, it's FOMO, like fire, let go, rewind it, stay froze, it's violent, no sentiment at all, wipe my eyes. Okay, so listening to that, I can already hear a few things. I need my snare to be a bit more punchier, my low end to come out a little bit more. Just generally tighten things up. So what am I doing first? Well, first what I did was I'm listening out. I've kind of just solo each one and I'm listening to what's going on. So let me get my headphones a bit louder. So I can hear it's a bit muddy. So I'm gonna find that mud. And I'm gonna fish it out. There. So take a little bit out. I don't like to do at the mixing phase. You shouldn't be doing crazy EQing where you're taking off like 3 to 4 dB of stuff. This is not the time. You should have done that while you were producing. That's my opinion. Now we're just doing some light. It's almost like we've got the full statue and we're just carving out the eyes, we're carving out the muscles, and we're kind of just doing the fine tuning bits, yeah? And I also wanted to make it a little bit brighter. Really specific places, nothing more than 2 dB. I'm moving on because I'm happy with where it is. And I'm also just going to copy it over. I'm going to copy it over, see where you at. See, yeah. I'm going to take those, keep those there. Might have done that a bit earlier. Let's have a listen. I know, it's FOMO, like fire, let go, rewind it, stay froze, it's violent. Okay, so let me hear. I'm going to solo my vocal. I'm going to solo my snare. Let's find y'all. I know, it's FOMO, like fire, let go, rewind it, stay froze,
it's violent, no sentiment at all. Wipe my eyes.
So in my head now, there's probably like 3 to 4 steps when it comes to mixing, and it's frequency based. So I'm thinking about high mids, low mids, and then low. So I work my way down. Sometimes I work from low and work my way up, but today I'm going to be working from high to low.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire.
Right.
I know, it's FOMO.
So my snare is this one.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go, rewind it.
Okay, so 2 things. I want to give it just a little bit of a low end and make it a little bit brighter.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go, rewind it, stay froze. It's violent, no sentiment at all. Wipe my eyes, feel my pain comes in right. Oh.
So that's perfect for me right there. Let's bring it down a little bit. Let's listen out for where the sweet spot is for me for the snare.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire.
Okay, so for me it's a lot of just trial and error, finding where it is.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go.
So I feel like it's right there. Make it quite narrow. Bring it down to maybe a dB and a half.
I know, it's FOMO.
Okay, so let's... And the reason why I'm playing the vocal in the back as well is those two needs to be... They need to be in a marriage. It needs to be perfect, like in sync. They're getting along. It's love at first sight, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the song. So that's why I do this. I solo the vocal, do my snares and my hi-hats, and I want to make sure all of that is living well together.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go, rewind it.
So with my... I'm going to copy this over here. See how it's sounding.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go.
Well, make it a little bit brighter, just a tiny bit.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire. Let go.
Doing really small things. I'm doing really small stuff, like nothing crazy, just a little bit here, a little bit there. The hard part was choosing the right sound. Let me say that again. The hard part was choosing the right sound, okay? Cool. Let's listen to the low end.
I know, it's FOMO, like fire.
Right, let me find where we're at.
Bye, what's the die tomorrow?
The hi-hats and the snap, they're perfect. I don't even want to touch them. Because what I'll do in the pre-master, and I'll show you when we get there, that will be the whole sound. So just pay attention for now here.
Bye, what's the die tomorrow? Don't feel. Live life once more. Bye, what's the die tomorrow? Don't feel no sorrow.
Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the vocal. Hear how these two guys sound. Okay, I want the kick to come out just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. And a good thing about this EQ is that you can see where the peaks are. If you're looking for a good EQ, you want it to be visual. For me, things being visual is perfect, and I'm only doing 1 dB. Nothing too crazy. Let me just mute the 808. Cool, so let me A and B it. And then with. Just a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of extra thump. I'm just going to roll off anything in the high. Okay, that's perfect. Let's hear the 808. Let's see what's going on here. Small little bits, nothing too crazy. I might move this guy a little bit more to the right. So with the 808s, especially these short 808s, you kind of want the bite to come out a little bit. So you want to increase some of the higher frequencies, just finding where. There's that bite. So what I'm gonna do, just gonna bring it down by the. That's all I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna do, because the pre-master is where the most important work happens. Just a tiny little bite. Cool. So let's see how that sounds together.
What's to die tomorrow? Don't feel no sorrow. I'm gonna build one another, live life once more.
I want that 808 to kind of poke out a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna introduce a compressor. Oh, close. I'm gonna use a compressor, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna compress the 808 a little bit, nothing too strong, 2 to 1, fast. Let's see. I'm gonna A and B it to hear the difference. Okay, so I need to add a bit more for what I've lost. And with. It just punches a bit more now. Let's have a listen.
What's to die tomorrow? Don't feel no sorrow. I'm gonna build one another.
And I feel like it's kind of ready to be pre-mastered, like to start doing the stuff that is all here. Do you know what I mean? So what did we do? Just to recap it, we looked at the vocal chain in Logic, explained why I do what I do, talked about the UAD a little bit, talked about interfaces, talked about EQs, compressors, the CLA, the DSs, the reverbs. Now, you can find these things on the net. You can buy them and you can also find them. That's all I'm saying. But we talked about that, brought those Logic files into Ableton, did some light EQing, bit of compression on the 808, and it's ready. I feel like it's ready to be almost the final step for, you know, to get ready for the master. So hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys have taken some gems from it. I'm HMD. Peace.